The nitrogen era of Thomas is an era that seems to be split amongst people in the fandom. Whether you grew up and enjoyed it back then, but hate it now when you're older, or you hate it while it was airing, but now don't see it as the worst thing in the series due to what came afterwards. I myself grew up with this era of the show, and although I don't think it's as bad as most people say, it's far from how I used to feel about it when I was younger. Even if you are someone who likes the nitrogen era unironically, you can't deny that it had a lot of problems. Predominantly, its writing. The hit era before already had enough problems when it came to its writing, and the nitrogen era only made it worse by having the same formula in every single episode. I see a lot of people nowadays argue that the Big World Big Adventures era and the reboot are worse than the nitrogen era due to their direction on the series or how they treated the trains as anything else but trains, and while I'll go ahead and admit that the All Engines Go era is my least favorite of the series, even if it's its own thing, giving credit where credit is due to both their respective eras, they at least don't have the same basic formula in every episode. Big World Big Adventures has some great episodes, while seasons 13 through 16 at the very least will have some okay or mildly good episodes. However, that's the opinion that I think most have about Nitrogen's least bad episodes. For me personally, I still genuinely like a few of the episodes despite their problems. If you had asked me like 5 years ago what my favorite episode from the Nitrogen era was, I probably would have said Happy Birthday Sir, as that was at the time what I considered to be my favorite episode from that era. It has a decent story, ignoring the repetition, a cute flashback to when Sir Thomas was a kid, this part,
birthday every 5 years on,
and it's one of the only Thomas-centric stories from this era in which he's not an idiot or causing problems. However, in the last few years, I've come to realize that it can't be my favorite Nitrogen episode. From its respective season, yes, but if it really were my favorite episode from that era, I would be revisiting it a lot more than the episode that I still do frequently. I use frequently very lightly, by the way, but in comparison to Happy Birthday Sir, I watch the episode more often than that one. And that episode in question is the Series 13 episode, Toby's New Whistle. Toby's New Whistle is an episode that I liked as a kid and still did when I got older, but I never would have considered it to be one of my favorite Nitrogen episodes or even Toby episodes. But as the years passed, my opinion changed. Out of every episode in the Nitrogen era, this is the one that I come back to the most, and in this video, I'm going to explain why this is my favorite episode from that era. The first thing that I will bring up is how Toby's portrayed in this episode. Big surprise, this is one of the many Toby is worried about something episodes. I'm gonna give a hot take here and say that I don't mind worrisome Toby. I like his classic series persona better, but his warrior side that was added in the hit era, or series 5 technically, doesn't bother me. I'll also go ahead and admit that I don't mind Henry having the same issues as Toby, although I do think that it works better for Henry than it does Toby. But I may just be saying that because CGI Henry is my favorite version of him. Going back to the episode, I do think that Toby's reason for not wanting to use his new whistle is understandable. It's said that he doesn't like loud or booming noises, which could imply that Toby is sensitive to that kind of stuff, at least to some degree. Furthermore, later on in the episode, when he tries to get the cows off the line, his solutions aren't dumb by any means, which is saying something given the other episodes from this era. Ignoring the fact that he obviously should have used his whistle to get the farmers and cows' attention, his alternate ways of going about it were still smart. But it's pretty obvious that the farmers were at fault for the whole cow fiasco. Overall, Toby's portrayal in this episode is fine in my opinion, especially for a worrisome Toby episode like this. Next, I would like to talk about the music for this episode. The music that Hartshorn composed for Toby's New Whistle is probably my favorite out of everything he composed for the Nitrogen era bearing the specials. The score that's used for the scenes of Toby stopping Thomas and later Gordon are very suspenseful, but I already thought Hartshorn nailed that aspect for all the episodes that had intense moments like this. I just wanted to shine some light on that element to his music. The real highlight of his score for me is the theme that's used for Toby throughout the episode. Up until I had listened to the instrumental, I had no idea that the theme heard throughout the episode was a rendition of Alfred Hitchcock's theme. It becomes all the more interesting to me as this episode came out the same year the fan-made character Alfred was created, and that theme is often associated with him. Mind-blowing stuff indeed.
Don't say him, don't say it.
The last thing I'll talk about is the minor things that are sprinkled throughout the episode that I admire. First off, we get some lore from James.
Hello, Toby. That's a 3-chime steam whistle. I used to have one of those.
Although this was more than likely a throwaway line as it's never brought up again, some people have made their own theories about when James did have a 3-chime steam whistle, including me. Here's my theory. We know that in the TV series canon, James came to Sodor before Thomas. However, throughout The Adventure Begins, he is never seen with a 3-chime steam whistle. A few years ago, I would have said that James probably had the whistle when he first came to Sodor, and Sir Tom had decided to replace it as he deemed it too loud. But then that wouldn't make sense considering he has one at the Steamworks. So, what I believe now is that James had the whistle on his old railway, and then at some point an incident occurred, whether it got damaged or the same thing happened like in my original theory but without Sir Topham present, for it to end up getting replaced with his current whistle. This is the only episode in which Toby actually uses his cowcatchers, and on cows no less! It's crazy to believe that in all 24 seasons, Toby only used his cowcatchers once. That's something to give this episode major points for. The scenes of Toby warning Thomas and Gordon are really fun to watch just for the sound his whistle makes and the cool shots to accompany them. And last, but certainly not least, there's this forever memorable moment.
Oh no!
The amount of times I was quoting this line prior to it becoming a meme. And that's all I have to say for this episode. Now, I'm not expecting to change anyone's views on Toby's new whistle. My opinion aside, this is a mediocre episode at best. The storyline is dull, everyone comes off as blind towards the end, and it retcons Toby having a whistle in the past. I can get past that last one as it was only used twice and mentioned once. I wouldn't blame a regular Thomas fan to forget that fact. The show certainly did. Despite that though, this is arguably among the more better ones as this was from Series 13, and both that and 16 contain a few decent episodes like Snow Tracks, Tickle Pink, Don't Bother Victor, etc. But I really wanted the chance to discuss one of my favorite episodes from one of the eras of the series. If this does well, I might do more, but we'll just have to wait and see. I hope you all enjoyed, or most of you, and I'll see you next time.